Friends, today's NRI Summit program from Los Angeles brought to you commercial free by listeners like you. Your generous donations make possible for us to stay commercial free, and today's show is pre-recorded. If you have a question for the guest, please send an email to nrisummit@gmail.com. We will follow up with the guest and find the answer for you. Thank you for your support.
Friends, welcome to NRI Samay. This is your host Srihari Atluri. Today we have with us Mohan Venigalla garu. He is an assistant professor in George Mason University. We know him from his role in Tori and Taranga, but today we have with us to talk about a different topic, not transportation or Telugu language. We are going to talk about US politics and specifically the primary elections for the US president nominations. Mohan garu, welcome to NRI Samay.
Thanks, Tanay. Just a quick question. This is going to be in Telugu or English?
This is going to be in English.
Okay, yeah.
Sir, we hear that every election we hear they say it's the most significant or the most important one. But this one seems to be really different from the rest. What is your opinion? Why do you think it's different?
I think it depends on individual perspective, right? For politicians always say this is the most important elections, but from what I see, the most important election that has happened was in 2008 because it's when a colored or black American has become the president, and that was like that changed a lot of things, and we are still living that. I don't think this is anywhere close to that one, but this is important in a different way, especially because there seems to be some shake-up of the establishment, which I love to see on both sides. So the establishment, meaning the people who are entrenched in politics, and they keep getting their way. Lobbyists running the show. That's what is shaken now. So in that sense, this is also important, but not as from my perspective as important as it was in 2008.
Yeah, even I was thinking, every time they say the same thing, but when you look at the turnout, especially on the Republican side, this is in a lot of states it's record breaking, and people are so emotional, either it's for Trump or anti-Trump. Then I thought maybe real people are really paying attention now.
I mean, Trump is just. It's hard to figure out the Trump's support. The emotions were always there in the election. Trump is like stroking some of the bad elements in the people, and in that sense, I don't know if you want to call it important. I don't know.
I mean, he's. I think what is widely agreed is he probably talks about what we talk with friends and casually. Not we, but what most Republicans would talk some of the things which may not be okay to say in public, or especially for a politician. And he's talking those things, and they're like, you know what, this is our guy.
Yeah, I think there is this element of unscripted. I mean, I don't care about being politically correct, and I speak my mind. There is some appeal to it. As a matter of fact, there are a lot of people like that. We think of them as authentic. But if that becomes too much of I hate to bring this up, but if you look at KCR's rhetoric when state division is happening in India, that is even more insightful. I mean, that's even more bad than what Trump is doing now. So, yeah, I mean that's like branding the entire Andhra population as somehow thieves and looters and stuff like that. That's the kind of rhetoric that went on.
Yeah, and at that time it worked for him too. I mean, he achieved what he was trying to achieve. But even if he honestly believes it's true or not, but that's his goal, and he achieved those means. So, kind of what
I don't think for a second Trump believes everything
right.
he says, and I never thought KCR believed for a second what he is saying is true. They're just playing to the masses, and unfortunately masses are sheep. They just don't see it.
More for Indian workers, H-1B workers, or even green card holders, who do you think is best based on the campaign? I mean, we don't know until they're really in the power, but based on what they are saying, who is better or who is worse than other folks?
I think it doesn't really matter, probably, and if there is anything that will change that dynamic is if there is going to be a big change in the Congress in one way or the other. Like if there is a huge swing, which already is controlled by Republicans, they're more pro-business. And H-1B, these are all like business interests, not like if you are asking for a popular vote on H-1B, immigration will always lose in this country, or for that, maybe even in other countries too. But the fact that the things are continuing the way they are, that means like business interests are prevailing. I'll give you an example. 1994 is when that may be the first year that came out of a recession after the senior Bush administration. I think 91 recession. So anyway, that is around the time businesses like Microsoft, Intel, Cisco, these are the guys who put some pressure on Congress to liberalize some of these. I mean, that's when there was a noticeable, significant increase in H-1B, right? And ever since then, the business lobby is a lot more powerful in increasing that quota. They always got what they wanted. Yeah, it didn't matter whether it was a Republican in charge or Democrat in charge, and then the White House. So it always the Congress, even when Republicans were in charge in Congress or Democrats, it all happened that way. So the only way I will see the change is when huge shift in the other direction towards extreme left, like Senator Sanders' version of protectionism. Other than that, I don't know. It's just my guess. It's not going to happen. It looks like the Congress is not yet in play. Maybe it will change after the nomination. Does it explain?
Yeah. So you are saying, at least from the view, you are saying a leftist view or Sanders' view might be bad for the immigrant workers, who is more focused on local businesses and local workers, local communities.
I mean, yeah, there will be protectionist, protecting the American worker kind of attitude if the Congress adopts that approach. A president can say whatever he wants to say,
yeah,
but it is difficult to do that on his watch.
Yeah, and talking about business putting pressure on the governments, the latest example we have seen, Georgia's religious liberty bill, the governor threw it away, vetoed, and the talk is mainly because a lot of big businesses said they'll pull out of Georgia if they go ahead with this.
Yeah, because they saw what happened in North Carolina's, the transgender issues, right? So
yeah.
it's on the, I forgot what the bill in North Carolina was called. Basically, they said the local governments cannot enforce anti-discriminatory laws, something like that they passed. And some businesses protested or even staged a walkout of something to do with some economic sanctions equivalent or something, like businesses make themselves heard with North Carolina, and Georgia governor didn't want that to happen to his state, I think.
Yeah. Now we are on the Republican side. We are left with practically the Trump or Cruz. Do you think Cruz has a shot at this point?
You know what? People always say Trump is dangerous. I mean, I think he's unpredictable, that is for sure. But I think the most dangerous character among all the players is Cruz. And that guy is, I mean, he may have a chance, but I don't know what. But it looks like there may be some. There is some, so there is some smoke. There must be some fire in there about his sex scandal, and I don't know if it's going to come out in time for him or whatever that is. I was just looking at some. What these bookies are doing about that. There is an increase in odds about brokered convention in Cleveland. So in the last a few days, but it looks like behind the scenes there is a lot of arm twisting going on to deny Trump the nomination if he wins it. So I don't know what the hell going on.
Yeah.
So the Republican Party is known for their dirty tricks, and actually both of them do. But in the last several years, I've been following the politics in the U.S. The Republican Party is like on the top of these dirty tricks.
Yeah, especially the voter suppression kind of things they do.
Yeah, I mean that is different. This particular thing, voter suppression. They can suppress any voter that they don't agree with the vote. Basically, voter suppression is meant to suppress the Democratic voters. That is their philosophy. Yeah.
So we have two choices. Looks like either Trump or Cruz. Kasich, I don't think he has a shot. But I mean, but from where they began, like with 16, 17 candidates. But if we start over again, who do you think is the best candidate, at least on the Republican side, with all the entire 16, 17 people?
I mean, to some extent, maybe Rand Paul, but he has some. I have some issues with him too. But of all those people, Rand Paul may be a better guy.
Yeah, at least he's more. He looks more principled, and he's more.
Yeah, I mean, exactly. Anybody who spoke against imperialism of United States wins I don't know if I want to call that imperialism, but basically against unnecessary wars.
Yeah.
Unnecessary wars is what he's against. And he spoke about that forcibly at one or two of the debates. And I thought you need to speak up. And for some reason, when Trump spoke about that in one of the bazillion debates they had, and he said, "How did Bush keep us safe? 9/11 happened on his watch," and all of a sudden I had developed soft corner for Trump, and then I had to step back and I said, "Whoa! He may agree with you on one issue, so don't get swayed by the rest of the lunacy."
Yeah, I actually think there are, at least a couple of positive. One is those things that he says. Then, he questioning about the Bush in terms of the war, and the other thing, he is driving. I think he's driving a lot of people, at least to come and vote. People. I met one guy recently. He doesn't know that California is a democratic state. And we are living in California. So is that he doesn't follow politics that much, and he's saying, you know what? I think Trump is good for business. And I'm thinking, okay, did you ever follow any politics in your life? But anyway, I think there are a lot of people coming out like that. At least with the name. I don't know why. And Rand Paul, I was actually surprised the way he came out against the war. I thought at least in the debates
he was always consistent on that.
Yeah, but in the debates, I thought when he's going for president, I thought he'll at least move towards the middle, at least a little bit for the Republican voter base. But he did not budge, so that was refreshing.
Well, I always followed his father, and to me, there are very few politicians who are very consistent in their view, and Rand Paul's father, he's a doctor actually. He was a congressman. Rand Paul was a congressman. Yeah. And his economic principles our beliefs are very similar to mine, and I believe that there should not be any Federal Reserve Board. They actually make things worse, economic cycles worse, and they create bubbles, and the busts are always bad. So something like that. We have common beliefs, and that's how I started following him from mid-90s. And he was always consistent. And Bernie Sanders in Congress, he chewed up Greenspan in 2002.
Yeah.
And that's when I was paying more attention to Bernie Sanders, the similar philosophy, but from the leftist viewpoint. So they were the only two consistent politicians I know of over a period of time. So they never changed their positions because it's popular or unpopular. They just stick to their guns, literally. So this Iraq war, both Ron Paul, he was a congressman at that time, and Bernie Sanders, they voted against it.
Yeah. Yeah, one of the very few, probably I think you can just count on one hand, I think.
Mm-hmm.
Talking more about Bernie Sanders, things that that are on his agenda, like free college, universal health care, single payer system. Mm-hmm. Do you think any of these are actually will get through the Congress? At least one of them, unless we see 180 degrees in the elections and Democrats take more than 60 seats?
I think he will have better luck with Congress and Senate than Barack Obama has. Barack Obama had a problem with his skin color. I think a whole bunch of these Republican people, nobody will come out and say I'm a racist, but the way their behavior is that they can't stand him just because he's black. Do I have any proof of that? No. It's just the consistency. When the Senate Majority Leader at that time, not Mitch McConnell, the turtle guy from Kentucky, was suddenly. Anyway, when Mitch McConnell.
Yeah, Mitch McConnell.
Yeah. Mitch McConnell, when he says their primary objective is to see that Obama doesn't get reelected, so he kind of gave away their playbook. And the other time, anyway, so when that kind of obstructionism is there, Obama couldn't accomplish much. But if Bernie Sanders comes, he will not have that much of a animosity towards him. So they may be a little bit more, they're willing to compromise. And also, I think whatever happens in the election is probably what's going to determine it. Oh, by the way, another thing about speaking of important elections, you can also say that the important election, even more important now than is in 2010, if you look at when the sweeping change in Congress from Democratic to Republican side happened. That's because many people did not go and vote.
Right.
And that was another thing. So unless some such reversal happens in the election, I don't see in the next couple of years. Oh, there is another possibility too. If the economy tanks, all bets are off. Between now and the election time, throw the bumps out is what they call it here. So all the incumbents will face the music. Incumbent party will always have disadvantage in any seat. So if the economy tanks, people are suffering again. So I think no matter who the Republican Party nominee is, they might have a good chance.
Yeah.
But if as it is given, Cruz versus Hillary, Cruz may have a chance. But Trump versus Hillary, Trump doesn't have a chance. And Bernie seems to be doing better with all Republican candidates. So Bernie may be more electable than people have you believe. Even though he's lagging in Democratic delegate count, but in a general election setting, so he's more winnable than Hillary because people don't trust Hillary. I don't trust her.
Friends, NRI Samay is a non-profit independent alternate media from Los Angeles, USA, which brings positive stories from grassroots activists from all corners of India and across the world. NRI Samay does not rely on corporate funding and our shows are commercial free. We only rely on your donations. Corporate funded media is driven by the TRP rating and profits are blurring the distinction between news and entertainment. Why do our news channels talk so much about cricket, movies, accidents, popular figures' personal lives, babies of heroines, gossips, etc., while they should be covering the struggles of people, inequality in our society, rural issues, and border security issues? Why did our media raise some corruption crusaders to the sky on one day and shut them off completely when graft charges were raised on those corporate sponsors? Media relies so much on the corporate funding and government blessings that they cannot report independently. NRI Samay is different. We don't accept funds from any corporations and hence our shows are commercial free. We completely rely on donations from you. Please consider donating to NRI Samay and please go to nrisamay.com and donate generously. This is the only way together that we can continue NRI Samay. All donations are kept transparent on nrisamay.com. And if you have any questions, please write to nrisamay@gmail.com.
Yeah, just the way Obama had that race thing. Do you think people don't like Hillary because of the gender?
Come on, it's not the gender issue. The way she has she tries to do whatever is popular, whatever makes her get elected. For instance, I'll say you a very simple thing, seemingly inconsequential and useless thing. When after after Bill Clinton's second term, and they moved to New York. They bought a house in New York just to make her eligible to be the senator from. For the Senate elections in New York, right?
Yeah.
And in that campaign, what did she do? She went and told people in some meeting that she has always been a New York Yankees fan. And she's from Chicago.
Yeah.
I mean, that is the most preposterous thing I ever heard. I mean, if I live in Washington, D.C.
Yeah.
I lived in New England, and I lived in Knoxville, Tennessee. No matter where I go, my college team is going to be University of Tennessee, Knoxville.
Yeah, and I think people still respect you. You don't need to lie about such things, right? That's what.
Yes, that's what she is. That's who she is. Not because she's a woman. I mean, if a man did it, it's the same thing. And people don't try to. I don't think anybody made a big deal out of it. But to me, that's a telltale sign of her personality. And the second thing is, she has no connection with the common people. And what happens is when you go to elite schools like Yale and all these things, and then all of a sudden, at some point in your life, you get detached from. They may have started like very humble.
Yeah.
And then at some point, you start associating with yourself with muckety mucks like all rich people are powerful, rich and the powerful. At some point, you lose touch. I don't think she has any touch with the reality. This goes back to George H.W. Bush. I came to U.S. in 1989. So there was, I don't know when the incident happened. He apparently, as a president, went to a supermarket. And then he saw these barcode scanners at the checkout, and he was so thrilled by it, and he made a comment about saying, "Oh, this is such a great technology," and he's seeing it for the first time, and that was in existence for 20 years earlier.
Yeah.
So that's being out of touch. So I don't think. People don't like her because she's a woman. People don't like her because she has some positions she changed, like Iraq War is once, and even this TPP, the Trans-Pacific Partnership.
Yeah.
She changed her opinion on it, and it's okay to change opinion when facts change about that particular item, but you change your positions because people see it differently, or you might get elected. That is a problem. Yeah. And she does it all the time.
Yeah, talking about losing touch with reality, I was watching the debate and she brought up herself, Henry Kissinger, and then I'm thinking, why did you even bring up? Nobody forced her, right? And then it became a point for Bernie Sanders to attack her. And
so I'm happy to say that I do not. He said, I remember that comment. Yeah, Henry Kissinger is for a lack of a better word, he's a major league asshole. He was one of the architects of Vietnam War. That's what they say, and. It's like Donald Rumsfeld and Dick Cheney were the architects of Iraq War. So, down the road somebody will praise Dick Cheney. Probably there are enough people to do that. But anyway, coming back to our earlier question, whether it's going to happen if Bernie Sanders, all the promises, whether Congress will grant him those things. I don't know if it's going to happen, but he might be able to accomplish something. But I'll tell you this. I think if there is a will, there is a way. In this country, I have seen that. I actually teach a course in intro to transportation engineering. So I will ask all the listeners one question. When you landed in this country, especially in the United States, what is the most impressive thing you saw? The highways. And those highways, interstate highways especially, was a vision by General Eisenhower in World War II. And he saw Autobahns in Germany and saw the efficiency with which the troops moved across the country, across the continent, and then it's like, we've got to have this. He also, not only World War, but he toured across the country in the 1920s, and that was a vision. And he forced it down the throat of the Congress, which 10 years earlier identified interstate system, but never funded it, but he made it happen. So if imagine the single largest public works project of all time in the entire world is the interstate highway system. Imagine with the current deadlocked Congress and whoever may be the president, do you think that can be done today?
Yeah.
Probably it will be, because it depends on the leadership, it depends on the circumstances. So my point is, it can be done if it wanted to be done. The right question people should be asking, the press should be asking is, which they never did, when George W. Bush he went to war with Iraq and put the entire war on credit card, like $1.5 trillion. I mean, if the entire student loan is around $1.1 trillion, which is high. I mean, you could have given free, if not free tuition, some partial help to the students. I think it is, if 1.5 trillion can be spent on a war, unnecessary war, well, that means they found that money somewhere.
Yeah. So we were talking about the flip-flopping or the lies of Hillary Clinton. So, and the war, for example, if you take the vote on war as an example, you don't think it's harder for a woman to say no to war, woman politician, and because she might look as a weaker just because of gender. So don't you think there's a tendency for women to say, you know what, I'm going to run for president in a couple of years, so I might as well, look strong leader. So you don't think it's harder for women to say no for war?
It depends on the personality. Did Indira Gandhi go to war unnecessarily? Well, she played politics internally with, for instance, Bhindranwale and Khalistan movement. It was her creation. But I don't think she took us to war unnecessarily anywhere outside. So if that's Indira Gandhi, and then what about Iron Lady Margaret Thatcher? Yeah, she took them to war with Argentina, right, on the Falkland Islands. I don't think so. I personally don't think that is not an issue, but I don't know.
I mean, where I was going with this is, if we take any strong woman politician, most of them, at least 90%, at least the way I look at it, we think them as either liars or arrogant, or they're, just the way they came across. Maybe they have to pretend it, or they have to put up a suit. It talked about Indira Gandhi and even contemporary politicians, even in India, even in US. You take any, people who are in the leadership roles, they are given very bad mouth. I mean, that happens across. So I was thinking maybe because even I started, I was like, man, how does this woman get away with saying this kind of stuff? But then I was like, I look around, and then I didn't find any woman politicians who are actually, comparable with Bernie Sanders, for example.
No, I totally disagree with in every count. Okay, first of all, you're talking about dishonest politician, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, you think woman politics. I don't want to put words in your mouth. You think women politicians are more dishonest than men? Is that what you said?
No, I'm not saying that. I'm saying at least they have. They need to show that they are. They can match men. For example, in war, if she voted no on Iraq war, she would have, and she's going into 2008 elections, right? Or 2008 election, and her record is that she voted no on the war. And at that time, we would not know how it turned out to be, the Iraq war. Maybe they would have gotten out in a couple of years. We don't know. But in 2008, if she went into the contest saying, I voted no on Iraq war, then people would have said, you know what, if we vote for a woman, this is what she will do.
Well, you were saying women tend to act differently.
I think there is a need for them to add.
To overcome the perception that they are weak.
Yeah, exactly.
So I really don't think that is the case. I think in Hillary's case, it's just her personality. She just sticks her finger up, and whichever way wind is blowing, that's what she does. And that's probably what she will do if she's the president. And she doesn't have a true backbone. Let me put it that way. So there is a difference between being a boss and a leader. Leader always, leads from the front, and then they take a stand, even when it is unpopular. She's highly unlikely the kind of person she will take any unpopular position and then move with it.
Yeah.
I will tell you the strong women leaders who would say no and still well respected: Elizabeth Warren, Tulsi Gabbard. I was actually hoping if Sanders becomes the eventual nominee, I hope he does, and Sanders and Warren ticket will be like, that's going to blow their minds away, people. I mean, I would like to see that ticket. Or Sanders Gabbard, or Clinton Warren, Clinton Gabbard. I mean, I don't care if both. If Clinton is the nominee, and I hope she picks the right person. I think one of these two women are better at this than some of the men I know. Men politicians I can think of. But I think Sanders Warren ticket will be very, very, very appealing to me.
Yeah, I would agree with that. And Tulsi, I don't think she's openly now criticizing Hillary, so I don't think she'll go anywhere close. But that was also my point. I mean, Elizabeth Warren and Tulsi Gabbard, they are not running, right? Why are they not running then? So that's the problem.
I have a different. They're not running, but Tulsi Gabbard is too young. She probably has a few years to go to that level or think of those overtures. But Elizabeth Warren is there, and the reason she did not run is probably she had a very nasty Senate race very recently, and I really don't know her main reasons, but she made it clear why she. She never endorsed either one of them. She keeps saying she will vote for any one of them who becomes the nominee, but I have seen her express preference to Sanders because she criticized Clinton on changing her position. And Clinton, the first lady, talked to Warren. Elizabeth Warren was a bankruptcy attorney. And in the 90s, apparently there was a bill that was changing this bankruptcy law. And that she actually, Hillary Clinton sat with Elizabeth Warren, explained to Elizabeth Warren, Elizabeth Warren explained to Clinton about why that bill was bad, and then Hillary forced Bill Clinton to veto that bill in the 90s. And fast forward into the 2000s, when Senator Hillary Clinton was faced with the same bankruptcy bill, I don't know if you remember 2005, 2004, when credit card industry just rammed it down all of our throats. So now, earlier, the only debt you could not eradicate in bankruptcy was student debt, and you could have eradicated the credit card debt and other debts. So this change by George W. Bush is, well, I don't know who started it, but I would think the credit card lobby did that.
Yeah.
So what happened is Senator Clinton voted yes for that one. Complete 180 on that. What changed? Same arguments then and now. And it is okay for credit card companies to send out these predatory bait and, we call it, I don't know if you want to call it bait and switch, basically a teaser rates, and then they get the consumer, unsophisticated consumer, hooked onto it. And when tough times fall, they're not allowed to file for bankruptcy. Yeah. And Clinton switched her position. How many times she keeps doing that? I don't know. And she has the strongest backing of Wall Street, the biggest welfare recipients of all. Just my opinion. I think, if Hillary Clinton becomes the eventual nominee of the Democratic Party, and the other side, either Trump or Cruz, I can't stand both of them. And I think both of them will be terrible for the country and the world. So I had to go with the lesser of the evil, Hillary Clinton.
Yeah, I think that's another difference. They are saying that people just hate the candidates. So the nominee, it depends on who they hate less is going to win the general election.
Well, to me, there was in 2008 election when I voted, so it was a clear choice. It was not, I do not like the other guys, therefore I voted for this guy.
Yeah.
So it was Obama. But in 2012, I voted for Obama because the other guy is bad. But I would have preferred, if the other guy is good, I would have voted for that. In comparison. There may be social issues like abortion and all that, even if I don't like their position, I would have swallowed some of it. But the fundamental thing about Obama's presidency is that he did nothing to change the influence of the bankers, the lobbyists, and nothing. And actually, he was one of the biggest recipients of the bankers' Wall Street Bank's donations for his campaign.
Yeah, actually, that's a good segue. That was actually my last question. So the progressives, the Sanders progressive, they are not very happy with Obama's legacy, what he did in the 8 years. So the financial is one side. Any other things that you think Obama should have done a better job on?
I think this is an area where President has some authority on the financial industry. He could have just called for an antitrust or something like that. When he walked in, it was given to him. And what did he do? He appointed Larry Summers, the same son of a gun who created this mess by forcing deregulation of the Wall Street, the Glass-Steagall Act repeal and all that in 90s. And Larry Summers was his economic advisor. And Obama, one of the, what is his name, Bill Black, he was one of the guys who prosecuted savings and loans savings and loans transgressors in 1989. And Bill Black, in several of his, he teaches at the University of Missouri, Kansas City. He's a law professor. He was also in the economic team of Obama. And as soon as Larry Summers came on board, the guy was sidelined because he was way too critical about the same team who caused this mess, brought down to fix it. It's like bringing the arsonist to put out the fire. That's what Obama did. Yeah. And knowing fully well. So anyway, Bill Black said Obama's idea was to basically take over the banks, fire all the management, and then spit it out with a clean thing. So that would have been, it's like Swedish model, what Sweden did in the 80s, which seemed to have worked for a long period of time. That's what Obama wanted to do. But in the end, he was swayed by the same forces who gave him money. Yeah. So that's the worst thing he did.
We're at the close. Anything else you would like to add before we wrap it up?
Well, one thing I would like to say is that I don't know if the world is going to fall apart as people tell you that they are going to fall apart. If Trump becomes president, there are comparisons to Hitler and all that. I think the system is strong enough for that to be prevented. I don't think it needs to. People need to worry about that. I hope he doesn't become the president. But yeah. Don't sleep over it if he does.
Right.
That's what I would suggest.
Mohan Garu, thank you very much for your time, Andy.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.
Friends, if you liked today's show, please go to youtube.com/NRI Samay and click on the subscribe button. You will get notified every time we publish a new show. And you can also like us on our social media sites like Facebook, Twitter, and Google+.